Old people smell bad, that's just how they are. It's the kind of sentence people say casually, not realizing how deep it cuts, not realizing how many hearts go quiet after hearing it. Take Nancy, 68. She uses lavender soap, folds her towels just so, keeps her little home clean, peaceful, like a still pond in the morning. But one afternoon, while pouring juice for her granddaughter, little Lucy wrinkled her nose and asked, "Grandma, why do you smell weird?" Nancy didn't respond. That night, she sat under her blanket, whispering to herself, "But I shower every day." And maybe you've had that moment too. Someone stepping back, cracking a window, pulling away from a hug a little too soon. And silently you wonder, is it me? Let's take a breath here. Welcome to Buddhist Wisdom for the Elderly. This is a space where we speak truth, gently, where we honor aging not as a problem to fix, but as a journey to understand with tenderness. I walk this path as a student of both science and Buddhism, and what I've learned is this. Yes, your body changes with age, and yes, that includes how you smell. But it's not your fault, and it's not something to be ashamed of. It's simply a call to awaken, to care for yourself with new understanding and with reverence. Stay with me because in this video we'll explore 6 powerful truths about aging and scent. And part 5 is especially important, where we uncover simple daily rituals that help you reconnect with your body and feel lovable again. If this touches something in you, please like and subscribe to support our channel as we grow toward 1,000 subscribers and continue sharing the wisdom our elders deserve. Let's begin. Part 1. What you eat is who you smell like. Let's take a breath. Now, take a whiff. If you caught something earthy, slightly mysterious, like damp laundry left on a radiator, don't panic. That's not sin, that's biology. See, we often think body odor is just a surface thing, a spray this or soap that kind of issue. But the truth is, your scent doesn't start on your skin. It starts on your plate. That's right, every bite you take is like a little perfume recipe for your pores. And as you age, your body becomes a little less spa and a little more aromatherapy gone rogue. But don't worry, you're not doomed to smell like old Tupperware and distant regrets. You're just ready to become aware. And that's where the fun begins. Here's what's happening inside your sacred temple. Your digestion slows down like a wise monk who no longer rushes. Your liver and kidneys, bless them, get a little sleepy. Your mouth dries up, your bowels get moody, and something called oxidative stress decides to throw a party. The result? A charming little chemical called 2-nonenal. It sounds like a Star Trek villain, but really, it's just oxidized skin oil. And it's what gives many elders that faint whiff of dusty heirloom wrapped in plastic. But wait, don't reach for the Febreze. Because food, my friend, is your liberation. Eleanor, 78, started eating tomatoes and apples every day. Not because she wanted to become a salad, but because I told her they were like soap for the soul. 2 months in, her granddaughter hugged her and whispered, "Grandma, you smell like sunshine," she cried. I cried. The apple cried. That's the magic of antioxidants: tomatoes, berries, grapes, beets, turmeric. These are not just foods. They're alchemical mood scent stabilizers. Forget the anti-aging creams. Eat a tomato. You'll glow from the inside and smell less like a forgotten attic. You can drink water, yes, but you can also eat it. Cucumbers, watermelon, zucchini, spinach. These are like little bath bombs for your kidneys. They flush out funk. They lighten your breath. They make your skin feel like it just got back from a retreat in Sedona. Gerald, 81, drank a cucumber smoothie daily. At first it tasted like grass clippings, he said. Then it tasted like life. His daughter stopped opening the windows after lunch. That's a win. Make a smoothie. Call it sacred. Sip like you're at the altar. You are. Now here's the twist. Garlic, the great paradox. Smells like trouble, acts like peace. It fights bacteria, detoxes the liver, boosts the immune system, and over time it makes you smell better, not worse. Miriam, 75. started roasting 2 cloves a day. Her husband leaned in and said, "You smell like someone I fell in love with at Woodstock." That's garlic, working miracles through the back door. Constipation? Yeah, we're going there. When your colon's backed up, your skin and breath become the new exit signs. But add fiber, oats, pears, flax, lentils, and suddenly your body starts letting go of everything it was spiritually clinging to. Margaret, 77, said she thought her aura was broken. Turned out, she was just full of old news. 2 weeks of oatmeal and prunes later, she said her grandkids sat next to her again. One even kissed her cheek. She nearly fainted. You don't have to give up your guilty pleasures, but just notice them. Red meat, fried food, wine, dairy, and coffee. They're delicious, but they tend to leave a little afterglow. Balance it out. Eat your greens, hydrate, dance in the kitchen. You're not becoming a monk, you're just becoming aware. And awareness, as the Buddha might whisper while handing you a spinach smoothie, changes everything. Every bite you take is either compost or blossoms. You are not here to smell perfect. You are here to smell like someone who is fully alive. So eat with love. Cook with laughter. Taste the sacredness of grapes and the miracle of garlic. And if someone leans in and says, "You smell amazing," just smile and whisper back, "I've been feeding my soul." Want the recipe? Ready to tackle your living space next? The recliner, the pillow, the sweaters holding on to memories and musk? Let's air it out together, because every hug deserves a fresh beginning. Part 2. So, you're still smelly? Try scrubbing the right places. Okay, let's not beat around the bush here. You shower every day, you wear clean clothes, you might even spritz yourself with a little lavender mist and call it a spiritual cleanse. And still, someone in the house keeps cracking a window. You're doing everything you were taught to do. But here's the secret no one told you. And I mean no one. Not your doctor, not your mother, not even your yoga teacher with the perfect skin. Most of that old person smell, it comes from 3 sneaky spots. 3. That's it. Not your entire body, just 3 zones that quietly ferment in the shadows while you're out here wondering why your grandson keeps offering you gum. But don't worry, we're going to unmask them with kindness, clarity, and maybe a loofah. Spot 1. The sacred folds, where the sun don't shine. As we age, the body becomes more textured. Skin folds appear, creases deepen. Suddenly, you've got a little extra real estate behind your knees and under your arms. These cozy little pockets become 5-star hotels for bacteria. And bacteria, my friend, are great party guests. They just leave a terrible smell behind. Now let's be honest, when's the last time you really scrubbed behind your ears? Lillian, 74, came to me confused. "I bathe every day," she said. "But my daughter just offered me deodorant for Christmas." We had a gentle chat about the underboob area, the belly button crease, and that noble fold behind the neck. She started washing those areas daily, with warm water and a soft cloth like she was polishing a temple bell. 2 weeks later, her grandson hugged her and said, "Grandma, you smell like tea again." You can't make that up. Spot 2. The hairy zones. Your scalp is not a hat rack. Hair, lovely, glorious, sometimes thinning, is also a sponge for sebum and scent, especially the scalp, especially when it's been left to its own devices for a while. Martin, 76, used to shampoo like he was late for a dentist appointment. Splash, lather, rinse, done. But the truth is, your scalp needs a little love. Not just shampoo, a massage, a full-body head hug. So I told Martin, treat your scalp like it's hosting a retreat. Invite the soap in, let it stay a while. He started massaging with his fingertips, not his nails. This isn't a bear fight, especially behind the ears and the back of his head. The result? His son stopped opening the window every time they watched baseball together. And Martin felt, in his words, like my head got baptized. Can I get an amen? Spot 3. Your feet, the holy ground that sometimes smells unholy. Ah, the feet. Our humble servants. They've carried us through every heartbreak, every pilgrimage, every trip to the fridge. And how do we repay them? We stuff them in the same socks 2 days in a row and forget to wash between the toes. Elias, 79, thought the smell in his living room was coming from the dog. It wasn't. We had a real moment, sitting foot to foot, talking about fungal dreams and sweaty truths. He started scrubbing between his toes with warm water, drying them like sacred fruit, rotating his shoes, and, this is key, switching to cotton socks. The next week, his daughter-in-law walked in, sniffed the air, and said, "Did you get new candles?" He just smiled. "You see, my friend, this isn't just hygiene. This is liberation. Every scrub, every rinse, every lovingly dried toe is an act of awakening." In Buddhism, we talk about right effort, doing what needs to be done with attention and intention. Washing your back isn't just about being clean. It's about saying, this body has carried me through everything. I will not abandon it now. So get yourself a long-handled brush. Ask for help if needed from a caregiver, a grandchild, or the divine. Sit while bathing if that's what your knees prefer. Moisturize like you're buttering bread for a sacred feast. Forget the fancy soaps and lavender sprays made from unicorn tears. You need warm water, a soft cloth, mild soap, and love. Love that's gentle, consistent, and forgiving. The result? Windows stay closed, grandkids stay close. And you, dear one, walk into the room not wondering if you smell, but knowing you carry the quiet scent of someone who cares. Because the real fragrance of aging isn't perfume, it's presence. Now, shall we move into how to make these scrubbing rituals feel like a spiritual practice? Spoiler, it involves socks, sunlight, and maybe a little jazz. Let's go. Part 3. So, you're smelling a little different. Here's why. All right, let's get real. You know that thing where you walk into a room and someone casually opens a window? Or your grandkid stops crawling into your lap and suddenly prefers the dog's bed? Yeah, it might be your scent. But here's the good news. It's not your fault. It's just your body doing what bodies do. Transforming, aging, evolving into a wise old temple that sometimes smells a little fermented. And don't worry, you're in excellent company. Even the Buddha had a body. And I bet by the time he hit 80, the monks were politely lighting incense when he entered the meditation hall. Let's start with sweat. Now, back in your 30s, you probably sweated like a hard-working mule in August. It was annoying, but it actually did something useful. It cleaned you out. Your body flushed out toxins, dead skin, and all the emotional residue of that coworker who chewed too loud. But now, post-60, the sweat glands are like old retirees. We've done our part. We're clocking out. And without that daily detox, your body starts storing gunk like an attic full of expired Tupperware. I had a friend named Arthur, 76, who was thrilled that he didn't sweat anymore. He thought it meant he'd reached enlightenment or something. But soon, his armpit smelled like soup, left too long on the stove. His wife started sleeping with a eucalyptus stick under her pillow. Once we got him moving again, just some gentle morning stretches and a short walk to the mailbox, and focused on scrubbing the forgotten folds, underarms, behind the knees, and yes, the holy land behind the ears, he smelled like Arthur again. Slightly minty, slightly mysterious, but human and loved. Here's the real plot twist. Sebum. That's your skin's natural oil. In youth, it gives you that healthy glow. In later years, it becomes something else entirely, a kind of biological cologne you didn't ask for. After 50, that sebum starts breaking down into a compound called 2-nonenal. Sounds like a robot's name, right? But no, it's the culprit behind that old person smell. Sort of like a cross between cardboard and fading memories. And where does it hang out? The same VIP spots. Back of the neck, behind the ears, scalp, chest. I had a dear soul named Rosemary, 82, still wore lipstick, still baked pies that made you believe in God, and she came to me in distress. I wash every day, Ram, but my son told me I smell like the basement. I said, Rosemary, sweetheart, you're not the basement. You're just missing a few corners in the cleaning routine. She started massaging her scalp like it owed her money. washing behind her ears with focused intention, and switched to a mild, non-scented soap. 2 weeks later, her son walked into her kitchen and said, "Mom, you smell like my childhood again." She cried into her apple pie. Let's wander into the cave of the mouth, shall we? As we age, saliva dries up like a puddle in Arizona. Especially if you're on meds for blood pressure, anxiety, allergies, basically if you take anything other than vitamins shaped like gummy bears. But saliva is important. It washes away bacteria, keeps your breath fresh, lets your tongue rest in a happy little pool of peace. I knew a guy named Stanley, 80, grumpy, said his halitosis was just spiritual authority. But I handed him a tongue scraper and said, "Stanley, your breath smells like a crypt. Let's reclaim the temple." He started scraping daily, after gagging dramatically for a week, chewing xylitol gum, drinking warm water instead of his third cup of black coffee, and suddenly, he wasn't afraid to lean in for a conversation. His wife stopped spraying air freshener behind him like a trail of shame. Even if you're squeaky clean, if you sit in the same old armchair every day, wrapped in the same sweater, sleeping on a pillow that remembers Ronald Reagan, well, your scent's gonna hang around. Sweat, sebum, and your very aura seep into fabrics. So wash your pillowcases, freshen your chairs, let your clothes breathe between wears, and for heaven's sake, rotate your socks. The Buddha didn't wear socks, but if he had, I promise you he'd have changed them daily. You're not falling apart, you're opening up, like a flower that's moved into late bloom. Yes, the petals look different. Yes, the fragrance is earthier now. But you're still here, still walking, still loving, still worth sitting next to on the couch. So scrub the hidden places, hydrate the holy temple, chew your gum like a monk ringing a bell, and say to yourself, this body has carried me through births, deaths, belly laughs, and broken hearts. It has earned its scent, and I'll care for it with the tenderness of someone who finally understands what it means to be alive. Part 4, the body's getting older, so what? Let's love it anyway. Let's just say it right up front. Getting older is weird. One day you're hopping over puddles, and the next day you're making a strange sound just to tie your shoe. You wake up sore from sleeping, you forget why you walked into a room, your skin gets creepy, your knees get creaky, and sometimes, well, your scent gets a little earthy. Now, modern culture will try to sell you 5 serums and a scented candle for that. But Buddhism says, honey, that's just the ride. This body is of the nature to grow old. Yeah, no kidding. You know, the Buddha didn't skip around pretending he wasn't going to die. He didn't launch a skincare line. He sat under a tree and looked right at it. The whole messy, beautiful, saggy, temporary truth of it all. This body is of the nature to grow old. It cannot escape aging. This body is of the nature to get sick. This body is of the nature to die. Now, that might sound heavy, but it's actually a relief, because it means you're not doing it wrong. You're just becoming exactly what you're supposed to be. A wise, slightly bendy elder on a mysterious, scented path toward the great beyond. Let me tell you about Harold, 81, former truck driver and once a firm believer in a splash of Old Spice fixes everything. Harold came to me with a look on his face like someone had just told him his dog started voting. "Doc," he said, "I shower, I shave, I spray my cologne, but my daughter keeps lighting incense every time I come over." That's the moment we talked about sebum, oxidation, 2-nonenal, all the jazz that happens when your body decides to become its own ecosystem. But I also told Harold something softer. Your body isn't betraying you. It's just evolving, like a cheese or a poem. So Harold started a new ritual. He didn't just scrub, he meditated while washing behind his ears. He smiled at his feet in the tub like they were old friends. He called it Spa Day for the soul. In Buddhism, monks used to go meditate in charnel grounds, literal cemeteries, to watch what happens when the body returns to the earth. Not to be morbid, to be real, because decay isn't disgrace, it's design. We're all composting a little, day by day. You can either light a candle and cry, or grab a rake and say, well, guess I'm part of the garden now. Your scent might shift, your breath might dry, your skin might start whispering instead of shouting, but none of that takes away your worth. It just means you're becoming deliciously human. You are not the scent. You are the awareness smelling it. Let's go deeper for a second. That part of you that notices your skin changing, that catches your own scent and thinks, that's new? That's the awareness. And that's the part of you that never ages. You are not your body. You are the spacious presence watching your body shuffle toward the next great mystery. And from that space you can say, okay body, let's go. Let's scrub behind the knees. Let's sip some warm water. Let's put on socks that don't itch. Let's do this thing with grace and maybe a little lavender oil. In Buddhism, there's a concept called interbeing. It means nothing exists by itself. The tree needs the cloud. The flower needs the soil. The grandparent needs the grandchild's laughter to feel alive. So yes, your scent matters, not because it defines you, but because it connects you. If you smell clean and loved and warm, people come closer. If you smell like unopened Tupperware, they might hover politely near the door. That's not rejection. That's feedback. Let your body be an invitation, not a wall. You want a spiritual practice? Here it is. Scrub your armpits like you're cleansing karma. Moisturize like it's a love letter to your skin. Sit in the sun and call it meditation. Change your socks like you're turning the page on an old story. These are not chores. They're acts of remembrance, because every small act done with presence is a step toward the divine. Even, maybe especially, when you're doing it with a loofah. So dear one, next time you catch a whiff of your 82-year-old self and wonder if you're fading, just smile and say, that's not me. That's just the vehicle. I'm the driver, and I'm still going strong. Now let's wash up, light some incense, and enjoy the ride. Part 5, let's smell like love again. The rituals that bring you back home. Here's the deal, my friend. Getting older is a full contact sport. The body creaks, the knees negotiate, and sometimes you catch a whiff of yourself and think, was that me? Surely not. That had to be the dog. But the dog's asleep, and you're starting to suspect that your personal fragrance has evolved into something between library basement and forgotten lunchbox. Now don't panic. You're not broken. You're just aging, gloriously, mystically, fragrantly. And what you need isn't shame or perfume or your daughter waving eucalyptus around like she's performing an exorcism. What you need is ritual, not a routine, not a chore, not another item on your to-do list. I'm talking about small, sacred acts that say, this body is still holy and I still love it. Ritual 1, warm water in the morning, liquid enlightenment before coffee, before complaining about your back, before anything. Sip warm water, not boiling, not freezing, just a glass of gentle warmth sliding down your insides like a spa day for your spleen. Ruth, 76, started her mornings this way and said, I don't know what happened, Ram. It's like I got rehydrated spiritually. Warm water wakes up your liver, rinses your organs, and tells your body, hey, you're still here. And we've got another beautiful day to face, preferably without smelling like a suitcase. Do it slowly, reverently, like you're sipping tea with the Buddha, because you are. Ritual 2, sunlight and a little wiggle. You don't have to run a marathon, but if you can swing your arms, wiggle your toes, or nod at a bird like it's your old college roommate, you're doing great. The body, you see, is like a river. If it doesn't flow, it starts to smell swampy. Howard, 80, hated walking until I told him, think of it as dancing with the light. Now he strolls every morning with his wife. They call it their sun date. Sunlight kills bacteria. Movement clears the cobwebs. And for 20 minutes, you remember, I am not my recliner. I am not my sweatpants. I am a being of light who occasionally needs a foot rub. Ritual 3, the sacred shower. It's not about soap, it's about presence. You don't need to lather up like you're training for a soap commercial. You just need to show up. 3 minutes. That's it. Back of the ears, under the folds, between the toes. The areas where your scent likes to throw little parties without your permission. Lillian, 73, told me she used to just rinse and go. Then she started scrubbing with love, like she was preparing her body for a temple ceremony. 2 weeks later, her grandson hugged her and said, "Grandma, you smell like pancakes again." That, my friend, is enlightenment. Ritual 4. Eat like you're preparing a sacred offering, because you are. You are not just feeding a body, you're feeding a temple. So if you want to smell like joy, eat things that grew in the sun, not things that sat in a vending machine for 6 months, wondering if they had a purpose. Paul, 79, started eating 1 apple and 1 tomato a day. 2 months later, his granddaughter sniffed the air and said, "Grandpa, you smell like the garden." He cried. Then he made tomato soup for everyone. It was terrible, but they ate it anyway. Eat things with water in them, with color, with a heartbeat. Garlic too. Yes, garlic, because true love can handle a little spice. Ritual 5. Mouth magic, because your breath is part of your presence. Let's be honest, you can't chant Om and smell like old lunch at the same time. So clean your tongue, rinse your mouth with warm water, chew gum like it's a sacrament. Linda, 73, said she used to avoid speaking because her breath smelled like disappointment. Then she started scraping her tongue. Her husband said he'd never been more in love. "You smell like honesty now," he told her. That's what this is all about. This isn't about being polished or perfect. It's about remembering that you're still lovable, touchable, hug-worthy. You're still here. You're still sacred. And yes, you might still smell a little like oatmeal, but that's okay. What matters is showing up for your body like it showed up for you all these years. So take the shower, sip the water, walk toward the sun, scrub the armpits of your soul. And when someone hugs you again and doesn't pull away, you'll know, "Ah, yes, I've come home." Now, are you ready to dive into food and fragrance? I promise, it's not just about garlic. It's about love on a plate. Let's go. Part 6. Why no one talks about it. The psychology of odor and shame in old age. You know, nobody tells you when you're young that one day your body might start to smell like a forgotten drawer in an old cabin. It's just not part of the brochure. You hear about wrinkles, joints that sound like popcorn, hair migrating from your head to your ears, but nobody ever leans over and whispers, "Hey, one day you might smell a little like warm corduroy and soup that's been out too long." And even when it happens, people still don't talk about it. Why? Because it lives in that awkward little hallway between love and embarrassment. Right next to, "Can I still drive?" and "Why won't my grandson hug me anymore?" Let me tell you about a woman named Irene. She's 76, still wears blush, and hums old Ella Fitzgerald tunes while watering her violets. One afternoon, her grandson Max hugged her. Or almost did. He leaned in, wrinkled his nose, and gave her a side hug like she was a cactus. That night, she heard him mutter to his dad, "Grandma smells kinda weird." Irene didn't scream, she didn't cry. She just quietly added body spray to her shopping list and took her third church shower of the day. But here's the kicker. Nobody said anything. Not a word. Just a lot of open windows and quick goodbyes. Because that's what we do when we're uncomfortable. We make airflow and pretend it's about freshening the room. Why don't they just say something? And that's what Irene asked me. Why don't they just tell me, Ram? Well, sweetheart, because people don't know how to say you smell a little fermented without sounding like a terrible human. So instead, they smile politely and use a lot of Febreze. They keep their visits short and their hugs quick. And the elder, you, me, Irene, were left wondering, did I do something wrong? The tragedy? We don't smell ourselves, but we feel the rejection, all the way down to our socks. Now let's get cosmic for a moment. The Buddha, that barefoot old teacher who sat under a tree for 49 days and still didn't invent deodorant, he had a few things to say about bodies. This body will get old, it will smell, it will fall apart, it's not who you are. He said it with love, by the way. Because here's the thing, we are not our smells, or our saggy bits, or our dry mouths that taste like last Tuesday. We are awareness, we are the loving witness. We are the space between the scent and the story we tell about it. I told Irene, you don't need to scrub like a sinner in church, you just need to find the spots that the soap keeps missing. So she did. Behind her ears, under her arms, that mysterious patch behind her neck. And she didn't just scrub with soap, she scrubbed with presence. She lit a candle, played some jazz, turned her bath into a little temple. And you know what? A few weeks later, Max climbed into her lap, sighed, and said, "Grandma smells like the garden again." My friends, getting older isn't a punishment. It's just a long, slow dance with impermanence. Sometimes a little stinky, sure, but also deeply holy. So next time you catch a whiff of yourself and wonder, is that me? Smile. Say, yup, that's the smell of 70+ years of hugs, heartbreaks, and hilarious mistakes. Then go grab a washcloth, light some incense, and come back into your body not with shame, but with a giggle and some gratitude. Because the truth is, you still matter. You still matter. You still belong. You're still wonderfully, fully, undeniably here. Smell and all. So, what have we really been talking about today? Not just body odor, not just age, not just sweat glands and garlic smoothies. We've been talking about something far deeper, interbeing. The quiet, invisible threads that connect us to one another, through scent, through space, through presence. Because when your body begins to change and no one speaks of it, it's not just your skin that feels unseen. It's your place in the circle of connection that begins to feel uncertain. But the Dharma teaches us everything changes. The body is not fixed. It is not who we are. It is a river, flowing, shifting, and asking only for gentle care as it moves. And what we've learned today is this: what you eat becomes part of how you show up in the world. The spots you miss in the shower matter more than the perfume you layer on. Your body isn't betraying you, it's simply expressing impermanence. To care for yourself with mindfulness is not vanity, it is a form of compassion. Daily rituals of movement, warmth, touch are not chores, they are offerings. And the silence around scent, it isn't personal, it's cultural. And we can soften it with presence and kindness. If there's one lesson I hope stayed with you, it's part 5, the art of creating daily rituals. Because in those small sacred acts, we remember who we are, still worthy, still radiant, still deeply lovable. So if this video stirred something in you, a memory, a breath, a quiet truth, I invite you to pass it on. Share it with someone who needs it, or leave a comment below. Not just for us, but for the community that's growing here, gently, together. And if you'd like more of this, soft wisdom, simple truths, small practices with great love, like and subscribe to Buddhist Wisdom for the Elderly. Every subscriber brings us closer to 1,000 and gives us the energy to keep creating content that nourishes both body and heart. Because this isn't just about how you smell, it's about how you return to your body, your relationships, your life. And the scent of awareness, that's the most beautiful fragrance there is. Until next time, may you be well, may your body be lovingly tended to, and may your presence, like incense, gently fill the room.